Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is your girl Lollipop here with Kitty Boom with Romance Book Monsters, and today we are doing a new release review called Goldie and the Three Bears by Theodora Taylor. It's not considered a menage, right? What would you call it?
I would call this menage.
It's a menage, even though it's more than three.
Mm,
It's like a quad.
it is like
It's not a menage a trois, it's a quad a trois.
quite a trois. Multiple partners.
multiple partners, multiple partners. So in this book right
Menage
here,
a quart.
oh, a quart,
Menage a quart
menage
is
a
what it is.
quart.
Yes.
Yes, menage. So we have a menage a quart. So we're gonna go ahead and kick this off. So just a little bit about Goldie and the Three Bears. It's the third book in her Quarren Tales trilogy. So obviously, this is a new release review. This book came out in September as part of her Quarren Tales. This is book 3. Goldie and the Three Bears, as you can see, is a spin-off of Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Which is very cute.
Very cute. Cabin in the woods, blonde weave.
One room is too small, one room is too big, one room is just right.
Right. Bed just comfortable. All the good things. So, as we've mentioned before, spoilers ahead. Lots and lots of spoilers. We're really going to get into the things we liked and things we didn't like about the book. And of course, give you our rating. So I'm going to kick it off with just a little bit more about the book. So Goldie's on the run. Okay, her fiance is abusive, right? He's a cop. Even worse. So now you have an abusive cop. So she's on the run. She got this. She used to be a stripper. That's where he met her, on the pole. But then he made her into a housewife. Took her from the pole to the housewife, but he was abusive. So
don't forget she's an educated stripper.
Yes, she stripped through college. That's what she was stripping for, through college. So she finished her degree, but he wanted her to be a stay-at-home wife. Housewife? She ain't even married. They engaged.
They didn't get married. He just wanted her to stay at home.
Mm-hmm. He made her quit her job. He liked to parade her around his friends, looking like, look what I got. My girl is fine. All right. And so she finds out she was pregnant and decides to go on the run. She gets she goes and talks to some guy she knows, sells stolen cars, get herself a little cheap something. And is driving to Canada because that's where her mom is from. Car breaks down in Wisconsin. She was real close. Don't quite make it. Car breaks down in Wisconsin. And she is on the side of a road. So she decides to start walking to the nearest town. Starts walking. Then decides she being stupid. Because this is not going to work. Walks back. Can't find her car gone. And then she finds a cabin, an empty cabin. So she breaks in, says one room was too big, one room was too small, one room was just right. And that's the room she went ahead in. Now, we find out that the cabin belongs to 3 foster brothers who so happen to turn out to be football players. Who would have thought?
I know, so weird.
I mean, that's not what you expect from 3 guys in the woods of Wisconsin.
Right.
They turned out to be football players. And
like,
of course,
millionaires. Let's get a house in the middle of nowhere.
Right? Oh, yes. Oh, and let's not forget the biggest part. They like to share. They are looking for a wife for the 3 of them. So, that's pretty much the book in a nutshell. Obviously.
Oh, but let's not forget she goes back when she can't find the cabin to find her car, and her car is gone because they have decided to tow the car.
Yeah, they were the ones who towed the car. Yeah, because they're like, who's on my property? And that's when, and then they show up and like, who broke into my house?
And I was
Who's
like, who
in the
tows
bed?
the car in the cold? And you didn't even look for anybody.
Right? I'm like, who does that? Obviously somebody car broke down and you don't see nobody.
Oh, we
You would
thought they were
think
gone.
you would think that they would drive around to make sure ain't nobody dead on the side of a road, but they ain't care. They're like, this car needs to go. It's
It's
on our
our
property.
property.
And then she's like, where my car? And they're like, at the junkyard. Like, how you gonna do that to somebody's car? Anywho, shenanigans ensue. Now, of course, they done towed the car. And she's like, she done woke up and she's like, oh my God, I need to fix my car. Basically, she offers herself as a replacement to who they were going to have spend the week with them. But she's a little cheap. She didn't value herself very much,
She didn't see Pretty Woman before this happened.
I don't know. I don't know at all. I'm like, how you going to be so cheap? Oh, just fix my car and I'll sleep with y'all for a week. Who does that?
I don't
Who was
know.
a former stripper? She knew what was happening in the back rooms. She knew how those girls was getting paid, and that was just one person. You times that by 3.
Right? That was like she had to have seen Pretty Woman. She should have took the price Julia Roberts gave, times it times 3, and included extra for inflation.
Right? Like, if they had wanted to take advantage of her, they literally could have been like, okay, we'll fix your car. They were like, nah, we'll give you 50 grand. That's
fair.
That's fair. And then they're like, we'll buy you a new car on top of it.
You're just like, is that the market going rate?
You talking about just fix my car and like $1,000. I'm like, get out of here. You coochie worth a little bit more than that. And then she's like, well, I can't get pregnant. Because then they're like, oh, we're football players. You're trying to get us caught up. She's like, I'm already pregnant. You can't get caught up. Of course, they made her take like 11 pregnancy tests to ensure that she, in truth, was pregnant and not trying to get pregnant. But of course, shenanigans ensue. And yes, this is a romance novel. And, we like somewhat happy endings, right? So happy for now or happy forever. Those are the only things I like to read. I don't like to read nothing where they are not together at the end. This is not a romance novel. That is a Greek tragedy.
Yes.
I don't like Greek tragedies in my romance. Now, luckily, we good. This is a romance novel, and they are all together at the end. Now, between the beginning and the end, let's talk about likes and dislikes, because we have them with this book. So I guess I'll go ahead with my likes, and then Kitty Boom will knock in hers, and then we go back and back, and then dislikes. So what I liked about the book, I thought the sex was great. Best part of this book. Best part. I loved it. The scenes were, a little bit invented. They're creative, steamy. You have 1-on-1s, 1-on-2s, 1-on-3s. It was a nice, good mix. Everybody had alone time. Is but then anybody had. I love the 3 male characters. I like their different personalities. I like their backstories were all different and unique about how they ended up being with the same foster father, how they ended up playing football. We had the one whose family were, growing weed. We had the other one who come from an abusive family. And then we had the other one, which I can't even remember his backstory, but I knew I enjoyed it. But either way, the male characters were definitely the standout characters. Like I got them. I felt them. They made sense to me. It was logical. They made logical decisions. My 2 likes. Do you have any likes at all?
Okay, now the part that I just that I found so funny was when she had to take her hair weave out, and they're sitting up there looking up for Googling and YouTubing hair tutorials on how to braid her hair. Now that was my favorite part in the book.
Yes.
That I did like. And I like the story setup, like, the Goldilocks and 3 Bears, under theme, and how it all started out. But even though I really like this author, Theodora Taylor, and I've read several of her books before, and that's it. Like, the goodness of the book ended very soon for me.
All right. All right, then kick it off with your dislikes then, because you're on a roll.
Dislike. And it's nothing personal to the author. I really dislike the theme of, you're gonna hide who you are and you're not gonna tell somebody who you are. Like the theme of, it's a girl who's pretending to be a guy, or a guy that's pretending to be a girl, or well, that was just the example that I used when I was talking to Kitty Boom, like those old Amanda Bynum movies when she would go into the soccer team and, she would fall in love with the guy, but he wouldn't know who she was. I don't like that thing. That thing feels deceptive to me. So in this book, like, she never gave them her real name.
Mm-hmm.
Into the very end of the book. She never explained her situation. She was just a stranger. And, that's not romantic to me. I'm always like, well, how did they fall in love with this person? Because they don't know who she is.
Right.
I really could not get into the book because of that. So, I skipped a couple chapters hoping I could get into it. But then I kept seeing that she still was never revealing who she was. And that just irritated me so much. So I just skipped some more and skipped some more. And I never got into it. And I hated that they didn't find out her story until the very end of the book. And like, how crazy is that? And then on top of that, yeah, they didn't find out who she was until the crazy ex showed up, when they could have been like on the lookout for her the whole time. And the next thing that I did not really enjoy about the book, it's my first time coming upon an author using the coronavirus theme where they're like in quarantine. And I'm like, I'm so over like it in the news that I don't really want to see it in my books right now. Like, it's too soon. Like, next year or the year after, like once we're past this and everything is back to normal, it's gonna be great. But reading it while, it's still somewhat still going on, not entertaining to me. Just not entertaining to me. But, after hearing like your likes in the books, I am sort of motivated to go back and try it again.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I was a little bit creative, just a little bit. Like, I didn't think about it from that perspective.
Yeah.
But so I personally didn't mind the quarantines. Everybody want a quarantine boo. This is my quarantine book boo, I guess. Well, but I read the other two books in the series. So, and I have to say, I highly recommend the first and second one. I did enjoy them a lot more than I enjoyed this one.
Really?
So I would definitely say, give it a shot, give it a try. But my dislikes, I felt Goldie was, or Gina, which they found out at the very end of the book.
Very end.
After they handed her like 6 figures. What did they give her? 500,000? I don't remember. 100,000 was a lot of money they gave her.
A whole lot of money.
Because they were together for like 3 months. Because of the quarantine.
Right.
Anyway, I thought she was very naive. As I mentioned before, how you going to offer to have sex with 3 dudes to fix your $200 car and $1,000? Like, how you even going to pay for your medical care in Canada? Like, Canada, when they told her the Canadian border was closed, it was like she was heartbroken. And I'm just like, what you going to do? That's why $1,000. Don't ever do that again. That was my biggest dislike. I didn't mind as much that she held her identity. I did think that she held it a little too long. Like, it should have definitely come out after the first half, not at the very end. Like, they literally learned her name in the last like 5 or 6 chapters, which to me was a bit egregious on that side. Cause I'm like, you're telling us a love story and we're getting little pieces about her, her mom raising her, about how her dad ran off, he wasn't a part of her life and stuff like that. And has a whole nother family and all that jazz. Never bothered to even acknowledge her. Her dad was white, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken, and her mom was of Canadian, but of African descent, right? So I think Nigerian, but I'm not 100% sure. And especially someone who has been part of that life. She was a sex worker, but not, she wasn't a prostitute. You would think that she would value her body more. And that really bothered me because I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. You are pregnant. $1,000 is
Right.
not going to get you anywhere. I don't understand.
And not only that, like she didn't even have confirmation that the person that she was going to for help in Canada was still there or still
Right.
alive or
Right.
anything.
So that's what I'm like, like she could have said any number. If she had said 10, 15, 20, $25,000, I'd have been like, okay, perfectly makes sense. It's three dudes. $1,000? Really? That's like food for a month. That's not even, you can't even pay for a hotel room on $1,000. You can't. Gas, food, you know what I'm saying? It just didn't make any sense to me. So I think the author wrote her too extreme, too naive, too, you know,
Yeah,
she was
especially
in her, what, late 20s?
and somebody with her like life story and life
Mm-hmm.
experience, you would not have expected her to be that naive. Like she was on her own. She had been a stripper. She had been working herself through school. You definitely would expect for her to have more like street smarts.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I 100% agree. She should have definitely had more street smarts. I just, her character just didn't make sense to me at
Mm-hmm.
all. So, which, there's, again, as you even mentioned, the setup was great. Like the setup was great. I
Mm-hmm.
could feel her. I understand why when she found out she was pregnant, she bolted.
Right.
But the thing is like she, even as a person who was in an abusive relationship, she she bolted without forethought. Like she bolted like the day after she found she was pregnant. Like it was either the same day or the day after or something really close around that time. And I'm like, there's still some preparation involved. Like she was only able to take out what, $800, $700 out of her bank account. That's all
Yeah.
she had to get to Canada. And she only had one pair of shoes.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know why she didn't take like the time to like withdraw like more money.
well, she should
She
have
could
went
have,
in the bank
yeah,
and
she could have went
withdraw
into
the money.
the bank and could have withdrawn the money.
She went through the ATM, which is where she
Yeah.
went wrong. She should have went in the bank and withdrawn like a few thousand. Maybe she
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to draw too much because that he might have been alerted. But $800, like she should have at least taken $2,000. Eight
Right.
hundred dollars is not gonna get you to Canada. Not with food and gas. And so it was, I don't know. I just thought her character just super naive, not very good decisions.
And I
I
understand her not like wanting to be tracked because he was a police officer, so
mhm.
he would have had that ability. But then she like finds these like three like millionaires, like they would have been able to like assist more with that situation than your average Joe.
They ended up killing him anyway, right?
Right.
And getting rid of the body. So, well, they had help from one of her friends' men, the
Yeah.
Russian former mafia. But still, they still ended up killing him. So they would have been better. They could have probably stopped him from jump. Or better yet, if they
And
had known she was running, they wouldn't have took the car to the repair shop because the repair shop is going to run the VIN number. That is how he found her.
right.
From the VIN number, from the car, because it was stolen, and he put the squeeze on the guy to get the information. So I'm like, what did you think was going to happen when you take a car to a regular repair shop? They're going to run the VIN number. Now
Wait
he
a minute.
knows where
Did
you
they
are.
find the video?
Yes, they rent,
Okay.
yes, repair companies, because cars track repairs so that it's all about a warranty thing. So, for example, if something goes wrong with my car and I'm trying to put in a warranty claim, they can be like, well, you never
I am so
took care of
guilty.
your
This
car.
must be a part that I skipped. Did he find the bouncer that she got the car
Yeah,
from?
and put the squeeze on her. I mean, on
Got it.
him. He put the squeeze on him because he knew that's where she would go. She would go for help. Those were the only people that she had because her friends
Right.
didn't know where she was. They literally didn't know. So they couldn't even lie to him that they didn't know. They actually never actually said anything. So of course he went back to the strip club where she worked.
She actually probably would have been better off. Well, she didn't even know at the time that her friend was like connected to this guy that had like a mob connection.
Because they started not booing up around quarantine time too.
Yeah.
Because it's Quarantales. Now, we won't get into that book, but her brother was, the friend's brother, trifling. You can't even call it, I mean, how you go? You know what? Let's not go there. But definitely check out book 2 if you wanted some trifling family members, because he did her dirty. But anyway, so we could wrap this up. I mean, obviously you could tell from our responses there were some things we liked. A lot of things.
We forgot. Wasn't she like a former like state
pageant
queen?
Yes, she did it because she used to do the pageants with her mom. So she did it in remembrance of her mom. She did not win, but that's how she met her 2 best friends. And I don't know if they won either. I can't remember. But that's how she met her 2 best friends. And she used that money, the little bit of money she won from there, plus stripping to pay for college. But yeah, but that didn't really matter to the story because I don't even think she mentioned it to the guys. I can't remember. I don't think she mentioned it to them. But anyway, with this particular book, I mean, I thought it was meh. It had some parts I liked. It had some parts I didn't like. So I gave it a 3, an average score. Definitely, if some things interest you from the book, I think you should check it out. But otherwise, read any of these authors of the books. I've read 90% of her books. I loved almost all of them. But with every author, sometimes we have hits and misses. Even with some of our favorite authors, not everything comes together the way we like it. But I'm not going to stop reading her. I love her. There's a dud. There's always going to be a dud from any author. Nothing is ever going to be a book that not every book you're going to 100% love.
So I would give the book a 2 to 2.5. But I wouldn't pay deep attention to this rating specifically for me because I did not like the underlying theme. So that weighed heavily on how I rated it. So if the theme does not bother you, then you might like it much more than I did.
Wholeheartedly agree. So, well, thank you guys for joining us today for this new release book review of Goldie and the 3 Bears by Theodora Taylor. As I said, definitely check out her other books. They're great. She does a lot of shifter books. She does a lot of Russian mob books. She even has a few contemporary books. She has a few
1150 State series is really good.
Which I think Quarantales is part of because it's Wisconsin. So her 50 tales encompass, that's the one connecting theme through all her books. Whether it's the Russian mob, shifters, this Quarantales, her contemporary books, she has one with a country music guy. They're all like different states. So which is interesting because, a lot of the times we read books and they tend to be either major cities all the time or states that we've never, had to use our imagination for. So North Dakota, South Dakota, New Mexico, Utah, we don't really think about those states when we think of romance if it's not like a cowboy romance with some kind of ranch or something like that, or a farm or something like that. So definitely check this author out. She has some really great books, some really great series. She does a lot of like trilogies within her larger books. So thank you again for joining us today, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you next time.